Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell y'all something real simple but real deep. In this life, you will be disrespected. Somebody gonna try you. Somebody gonna say something slick, maybe behind your back, maybe right to your face. But hear me on this. You don't have to answer every time somebody barks at you. Silence is not weakness. It's a sign of control and emotional strength. In today's world, people often mistake loudness for power and aggression for authority. But the truth is, real strength often lies in the ability to remain quiet in situations that test your patience, your pride, and your peace. It takes a deep level of maturity to bite your tongue when you know you could destroy someone with your word. Comedy takes emotional intelligence to recognize that not every battle is worth fighting, especially the ones designed to provoke you, not grow you. When someone disrespects you, the natural response is to react, to defend your name, to correct the narrative, to make sure they know not to play with you. But sometimes the most powerful move you can make is no move at all. That silence isn't about losing, it's about choosing. Choosing peace over chaos. Choosing your energy over their nonsense. Choosing wisdom over impulse. When you stay silent after someone disrespects you, you're not giving in, you're rising above. You're letting the world know that your self-worth isn't determined by someone else's inability to respect you. That silence in many ways is louder than shouting back. It sends a message. I know who I am, and I don't need to prove it to anyone. Because when you truly know your value, you don't feel the urge to respond to every insult or every dig that comes your way. You begin to understand that not everyone deserves access to your voice, your mind, or your energy. You become selective about what gets a reaction out of you. And in that selectiveness, you find power. Emotional control is one of the strongest traits a person can develop. It keeps you focused. It keeps you grounded. It keeps you from saying or doing things you might regret later. Silence in the face of disrespect doesn't mean you didn't notice. It means you noticed and decided to protect your peace anyway. That kind of control separates leaders from followers, the mature from the impulsive. It allows you to act with intention, not emotion. It gives you time to process, to reflect, and to respond, not just react. There is an inner power that grows when you learn to sit still in the storm and not be moved by someone else's attempt to shake you. There's a calm confidence that comes with silence, especially when the world expects you to retaliate. Think about it. When someone disrespects you and you don't react, you leave them confused. You take away their power. They don't get the satisfaction of seeing you break or explode or fall into their trap. Instead, they're left to wonder why their words didn't land, why their attempt to get under your skin failed. That's the power of silence. It turns the focus inward, not on you, but on them. It makes them question themselves, not you. And in that silence, you stand tall. You stay unshaken. You keep your dignity intact. This kind of emotional strength isn't easy. It requires practice. It requires patience. It requires a level of self-awareness that many people haven't developed. But once you tap into it, you realize that silence can be your strongest ally. It allows you to rise above petty arguments, above negative energy, above disrespect that's rooted in someone else's insecurity. You no longer feel the need to fight every little battle because you understand the value of your peace, your energy, your time. You begin to protect yourself from unnecessary chaos by simply refusing to engage in it. Responding to disrespect gives power to the one who disrespects you. The moment you allow someone's negative words or actions to provoke a reaction out of you, you're placing them in control of your emotions. And that's exactly what they want. People who choose to disrespect you are often looking for a rise, a spark, some sign that they can influence how you feel, how you think, how you carry yourself. The second you lash out, get angry, or let them throw you off balance, they win a small battle, not because they were right, but because they managed to shake your peace. What many don't understand is that reacting to disrespect doesn't correct it. It simply gives it a stage. When you respond emotionally to someone who is trying to provoke you, you're not correcting them. You're fueling them. You're confirming that their words have weight, that their actions have impact, that their disrespect matters more than your self-control. The greatest strength sometimes lies in doing nothing at all. When someone comes at you with negativity and all you offer in return is calmness, it confuses them. They expected fire and fury, but instead they get silence, maybe a calm look, maybe even a smile. That doesn't mean you're weak. It means you've decided your peace is more valuable than their opinion. Most of the time, people who disrespect others are carrying their own hurt, their own insecurities, and their own frustration. They're throwing it outward, hoping someone catches it and carries it for them. But when you don't react, when you don't pick up what they have thrown, they're left holding their own mess. That silence, that non-response, forces them to sit in what they created. And that's powerful. Every time you respond to disrespect, you give the other person control over your energy. You might feel justified in standing up for yourself in the moment, but afterward, you carry their negativity with you. You replay the argument. You analyze what was said. You allow your mood to shift. But if you had stayed quiet, walked away, let it slide off your shoulders, you wouldn't be carrying anything. Your day would still belong to you. Your peace will still be intact. Silence is not about ignoring injustice or letting bad behavior slide. It's about knowing what's worth your response and what's not. Not every insult needs a defense. Not every comment deserves a comeback. When you learn to filter out the noise and only speak where it matters, you become unshakable. You stop playing by their rules and start moving by your own values. Giving power to the one who disrespects you means you've decided their actions are stronger than your character. But when you hold your ground without lowering your standards, you flip the script. You take away the attention they were craving. You protect your dignity. You show the world and yourself that your worth isn't up for debate, and it certainly isn't dependent on what somebody else says or does. When you don't give disrespect the reaction it's begging for, you remain in control. You stay rooted in who you are. And that quiet strength speaks volumes louder than any words you could ever shout back. Quiet dignity protects your peace and guards your energy. In a world where everyone is rushing to be heard, constantly defending themselves, and always ready to fire back, choosing silence can feel unusual. But that quietness, that deliberate restraint, carries more power than most people realize. When you respond to disrespect with silence, you're not pretending it happened to your energy. You're choosing not to let it control your mood, your behavior, or your energy. There's a difference between reacting and responding. Reacting is instant, emotional, and often messy. Responding requires thought, control, and strength. Quiet dignity is about understanding the value of your energy and choosing where and how to spend it. It's realizing that you don't need to get loud to be powerful. You don't need to prove your worth through arguments. Your calm, your stillness, your ability to remain grounded, those are your weapons. The more you mature, the more you start to see how peace is a kind of success. Protecting your peace becomes more important than proving a point. You start to understand that not every battle is worth fighting, especially when that battle costs your inner calm. That dignity you hold in silence becomes a shield. People might throw words at you, but they bounce off. They might try to provoke you, but you don't move. You stay firm, steady, and solid, not because you're scared, but because you've grown past the need to fight small fights. Quiet dignity teaches you to value yourself enough not to entertain nonsense. It gives you clarity in moments that would otherwise be chaotic. You see things for what they are instead of getting caught in emotional storms. You start picking your battles, not because you're afraid to lose, but because you already know you won by not engaging. When someone disrespects you, they are hoping for a scene. They want attention, drama, a moment where they can feel big by making you feel small. But when you meet their noise with silence, you deny them that moment. You don't stoop to their level. You don't dance to their tune. That restraint shows strength, and it demands respect, even if it doesn't come immediately. Over time, people learn not to play with someone who doesn't flinch under pressure, who doesn't get pulled into drama, who doesn't waste time on low vibration energy. Your quiet dignity sets a tone. It tells the world, I know who I am. I don't need to shout it. I live it. This kind of inner discipline is rare, and that's why it stands out. Most people are reactive because it feels good in the moment. But real wisdom is knowing when to stay quiet, even when every part of you wants to defend yourself. It's in those moments of silence that your true power is revealed. You protect your mental space, you protect your emotional balance, and most importantly, you protect your energy from being hijacked by someone else's negativity. Quiet dignity doesn't make you invisible. It makes you untouchable in the best way possible. It's a quiet kind of armor that doesn't need to shine to be strong. People who disrespect you aren't worth your explanation or energy. Trying to explain yourself to someone who has already made up their mind to see you in a negative light is like pouring water into a broken cup. It doesn't hold, it doesn't matter, and it drains you. The moment someone chooses to disrespect you, they've revealed their mindset. They've shown you their lack of regard, their lack of understanding, or their inability to deal with you from a place of maturity and respect. In that moment, your only responsibility is to yourself. Not to defend, not to fix, not to prove, but to protect. Protect your time, protect your mental clarity, and protect your emotional health from the weight of meaningless conversations. The truth is, some people don't deserve an explanation because they're not interested in understanding. They're interested in control, in reaction, in drama. Giving your energy to explain yourself to someone who disrespects you is like giving your power away, piece by piece. You may feel like you're being reasonable, fair, or even humble, but if someone isn't listening with the intent to understand, your words are falling on deaf ears. You end up drained, replaying a situation in your head, wondering what else you could have said to make them see your heart, when in reality, they never planned on seeing it. Some people choose to misunderstand you because it's easier for them to keep their flawed view than to face their own insecurities or mistakes. Your words won't fix that. Your silence, however, sets a boundary that's impossible to misread. Not every situation needs your response, and not every person deserves your explanation, especially those who come with disrespect. Your value doesn't decrease because someone fails to recognize it. You don't owe a single sentence to anyone who tries to belittle you. Your peace, your energy, your direction in life is too precious to be redirected toward people who aren't building you up. They ain't come to uplift you, they came to drain you. So let them leave empty-handed. When you stop explaining yourself to the wrong people, you make room for the right ones. Those who respect you enough to listen, those who see your worth without needing proof, those who speak to you with honor, even in disagreement. Keeping your energy reserved for what truly matters is a form of emotional discipline. It's the ability to know when to speak and when to stay silent, when to engage and when to walk away. You don't fight every battle, not because you can't win, but because some fights simply aren't worth it. Every time you withhold your energy from someone who comes with disrespect, you're investing that same energy into your growth, your peace, your focus. Silence becomes a filter. It separates the people who deserve your words from those who only want to waste them. And in that filtering process, you gain clarity. You realize how many people you used to exhaust yourself for who never deserve access to your thoughts, your effort, or your time. Growth comes when you choose silence over unnecessary drama. In a world where people are quick to react, to argue, to clap back, choosing silence can feel like you're doing nothing, but in reality, you're doing everything. You're choosing maturity. You're choosing peace. You're choosing not to involve yourself in situations that steal your time, your energy, and your emotional well-being. Drama thrives on reaction. It feeds off attention. It grows when you give it fuel, and the fastest way to kill it is to stop giving it air. When you stay silent in the face of chaos, when you walk away instead of engaging in conflict, you're not backing down, you're rising above. You're telling yourself and the world that you've outgrown the kind of conversations that go nowhere, the kind of arguments that leave you more tired than clear, and the kind of people who only come to stir up negativity. Growth doesn't always come with big changes. Sometimes it's in the small decisions, like choosing not to text back, choosing not to explain yourself again, choosing not to attend an argument you weren't even invited to directly. It's in those moments where your silence is louder than anything you could say. People often misunderstand silence. They think it's weakness or avoidance. But silence is wisdom in motion. It's recognizing that not everything needs your voice. Not everything deserves your involvement. Not everyone is worth the energy it takes to respond. Growth shows up when you realize your peace is more important than someone else's opinion. It shows when you stop chasing the last word and start valuing your mental space. Choosing silence over drama doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care too much about your future, your goals, your growth, to get caught up in cycles that repeat the same story, the same arguments, the same emotions. You begin to notice how much time you used to waste trying to defend yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you, trying to explain your perspective to people who didn't even listen. And in that realization, you become more careful, more protective of yourself. You learn to walk away not because you're scared, but because you're strong enough to stand without validation. When drama knocks at your door, silence is the decision not to answer. It's choosing not to let someone's negative energy find a place to live inside you. Every time you don't engage, you're telling yourself that peace is your priority, that maturity is your strength, that you'd rather grow in silence than shrink in noise. You don't have to tell the world you're above the nonsense. You just stop participating. The less you react, the more you grow, because true growth isn't loud. It's not always seen. It's felt in your calm, in your decisions, in the things you don't say, and the arguments you no longer attend. Growth is quiet like that. It's soft but strong. It's invisible but powerful. It shows in your silence when everything around you is trying to pull you into conflict. Staying quiet is not about losing the battle. It's about winning the war with grace. In life, there will always be moments where you feel like you've been wronged, disrespected, or underestimated. The immediate instinct is to react, to defend, to make sure the other person knows they crossed the line. But true wisdom and maturity are found in the moments when you resist that urge. Silence in those moments is not surrender, it's strategy. It's the understanding that not every battle needs to be fought out loud. Some are won through patience, through composure, through walking away without letting your emotions dictate your actions. When you choose silence in the heat of conflict, you are not letting someone walk all over you. You are choosing to fight on your terms with your integrity intact and your purpose untouched. Winning the war doesn't always look like raising your voice or proving your point. It often looks like discipline. It looks like deciding that your long-term peace is more important than your short-term pride. It means realizing that arguments rarely change minds and that disrespectful people are not interested in truth, they're interested in reaction. If they can get a rise out of you, they've succeeded in pulling you into their world of chaos. But when you stay quiet, when you let them speak into the air without giving them the satisfaction of your response, you're telling them they have no power over you. That's a different kind of victory. One that protects your energy, preserves your dignity, and sets a powerful example. There is grace in restraint. Grace in choosing not to expose yourself to the noise of unnecessary conflict. There is strength in being the one who doesn't need to lash out to be heard. You're not giving in. You're choosing a higher ground. In silence, you gather your thoughts. You maintain control. You keep your emotions from controlling the narrative. That self-control becomes your weapon, and over time, it becomes your armor. People may not understand it at first. They might interpret your silence as weakness. But silence has a way of echoing louder than words when it's backed by self-respect and inner peace. Every war is not meant to be fought with noise. Some are won through wisdom, patience, and the quiet confidence of knowing who you are. When you resist the need to always be right, when you choose to walk away instead of dragging things out, you're telling the universe that you're ready for bigger battles, real ones, meaningful ones, ones that matter to your growth and your purpose. The small, petty battles begin to fall beneath you, not because you can't fight them, but because you know they're distractions from what really matters. And every time you choose silence over chaos, peace over pride, grace over ego, you're investing in the long game. You're becoming someone who leads, someone who inspires, someone who understands that real power isn't proven in how loud you are. It's proven in how calm you remain when the noise rises around you. You're not losing when you stay quiet. You're preparing yourself for something greater, something stronger, something more lasting than a momentary win in a pointless argument.